All right, so going back to our list of television and video attribution methods, we have a close analog to smart TV ACR, which is what I call smartphone surveillance. The more proper term for it is an ultrasonic beacon or a beacon of some sort. Let me show you and talk to you about how this works, why it works, and where things go wrong. All right, so you have a television. Unlike ACR and smart TVs, where the television has to be sending data about what is coming up, what fingerprints of content are showing up on the screen, you do not need a smart TV for this. The television is not the thing that's actually sending any data. Instead, what is happening is your ad, let's say this is an ad for company XYZ, has a little sound bite that's embedded into it that we call a beacon. That is a unique identifier for this ad. So it is inserted into the ad before it gets run on air. And in your pocket, while you're watching this ad on TV, you have a smartphone, and that smartphone has a microphone, and it can listen in to all the sound waves that are in the vicinity around you. This is where it gets interesting and also a little bit taboo from a privacy standpoint. So your ad runs, you have this unique sound bite that people can't hear because it's usually in an ultrasonic auditory range. That beacon then identifies that ad, and your smartphone listens in and can hear that beacon and then relay that information to some type of a central repository that is keeping track of the different ads that are getting detected across phones. Now you might be wondering, well, who's doing this listening and who's sending this data back? Well, guess what? On a bunch of the apps that you have running on your phone, you've agreed to allow those apps to use your microphone. And as part of that, many apps have, they basically can send that data to whomever they want. You've basically agreed to allow them to listen in to you. And that's why, from a privacy standpoint, this makes me uncomfortable. In fact, let's just write that down. Let's get this out of the way. Privacy. While technically legal, because you've agreed on the contract when you signed up for these services to allow this listening in, it's uncomfortable to me because you didn't know what the data was getting used for, and this is one of the things it's getting used for. And as a result of that privacy issue, it means it's only going to work in certain geos, and so it tends to be U.S. only, or certainly in terms of scale, it's more limited. There are other countries that will allow it, but in the EU, certainly, this is going to be taboo. All right, so now, from a mathematical standpoint, this is beautiful. In fact, to some extent, it's preferable over ACR. And the reason for that is there's one fewer joins. Remember with ACR, if you listen to my other video, the TV has a fingerprint for something that showed up here, but it doesn't know that it's an ad. It doesn't know what the content was. You need someone else to have a list of fingerprints and information about the ads to do a join between the fingerprints to say, all right, well, this ad showed on this TV. So when we're doing an audio beacon, you don't need any of that because the ad itself has the beacon embedded in it. So we already know, as soon as we hear that, we know what ad it is. We have the identification for the ad. So to some extent, it's technically cleaner. And it also allows, again, straight down the funnel attribution, because the source of the exposure, that television, was detected by the same smartphone that may very well be used for the conversion event, for going to the website or engaging in commerce. And so that allows a connecting of the dots direct down the funnel. And for that reason, we go to our litmus test for TV and video measurement. It's going to pass all the checks pretty nicely. So certainly the lift is going to correlate with television spend. You're going to see that in cases where there's no video, you're not going to see lift. So if you're in geos where you're not running TV, it's not going to be able to detect any of those audio signatures. You're going to have the nice bi-exponential lift pattern. And then it captures almost the whole truth. There's always some wiggle room here in the sense that there's going to be leakage of folks that saw the ad and the phone just didn't detect it, or you're engaging on a website from a device that wasn't the one that was heard and is not in the device map graph. But it's really close to the truth. You don't have this massive scaling factor, where the majority of your lift is unaccounted for here. So that makes it really, really cool. But again, this privacy issue is a big problem and is a real bottleneck, and many brands are just not going to be comfortable using this type of technology. Let's talk about some of the other issues, things that could go wrong. So you still need a device map or device graph, or you should have one. So what happens if the person who listened, the device that heard the ad isn't the device that you engage in commerce on? Say if there's another device like a laptop in the same household, it would be good if you could connect the dots between the device that heard the ad and another device that's associated with the same human, the same person, but isn't the thing that actually listened to it. And so for that, there's different ways that you could connect the dots between those two. You don't need the ad catalog like with smart TVs, or it's not as essential because the beacon already has it. You do need a controlling method, though, especially if you're a large brand where a lot of the folks that are going to be using your site are also watching TV. So say if we're talking about an Amazon or Uber or TripAdvisor, where the majority of the US population is using your product, just because a person visits the site and heard the TV ad doesn't mean the TV ad is what caused them to visit your site. And so you need to do some type of a causal inference or some other type of a control method to eliminate those folks that heard the ad, visited the site, but would have visited the site anyway, even if that ad didn't run. And of course, just like any other method like this, you could certainly have leakage or misfires where it hears things that ads that didn't actually run, or doesn't detect ads that did run. And so you're always going to have some level of that. But the important thing is you're capturing a sizable portion of the lift when you know that that the person who's listening to the ad has one of the devices that's doing this listening. And for that reason, from a technical standpoint, it's cool. From a privacy standpoint, makes me uncomfortable. So I hope this has been helpful in clarifying how the audio beacon works.